More simplifying with fractional exponents. In this video, we're going to simplify three examples of expressions with fractional exponents. Z to the fifth times y to the negative 1/3 is raised to the 4/5 power. Let's simplify. I can't simplify in parentheses because z and y are different bases. So I'm going to raise each of these factors to the 4/5 power. That's the distributive property of exponents over multiplication. So z to the fifth is raised to the 4/5 power, and y to the negative 1/3 is raised to the 4/5 power. Now when I raise a power to a power, I multiply the exponents, so z has an exponent of 5 times 4/5, and y has an exponent of negative 1/3 times 4/5. If you need to, you can multiply your fractions off to the side. 5 times 4/5 is the same as 5 over 1 times 4/5, and the 5's cancel. We get 4 over 1, or 4. Negative 1/3 times 4/5 has nothing that cancels, so negative 1 times 4 is negative 4, and 3 times 5 is 15. So now we write z to the fourth, y to the negative 4/15. We don't like to have a negative exponent in our result, so z to the fourth is fine, but the factor y to the negative 4/15 should be down in the denominator as a positive exponent, y to the 4/15. Notice I don't turn that fraction in the exponent around. It's the whole factor, y to the negative 4/15, that moves to the denominator. And so finally, the result is z to the fourth over y to the 4/15. Here's a to the 3/2 times a to the negative 1/4 divided by a to the 1/3. This means that in the numerator I have a multiplication, so I'm going to add the exponents. In the denominator I still have the 1/3. We'll deal with that later. And now I have to figure out what is 3/2 minus 1/4. So I'll do that off to the side. 3/2 plus negative 1/4 has a common denominator of 4. So I'm going to multiply the 3/2 by 2 over 2 to get a denominator of 4. That's going to give me 6/4 minus 1/4, or 5/4. So in the numerator, I have a to the 5/4 power, and in the denominator, a to the 1/3 power. Well, when I divide, I subtract the exponents, so that's a to the 5/4 minus 1/3. Let's do the subtraction off to the side. 5/4 minus 1/3. The common denominator is 12, so I multiply 5/4 by 3 over 3 and 1/3 by 4 over 4 to get that common denominator. 3 times 5 is 15, and 3 times 4 is 12. Minus 1 times 4 over 3 times 4. Well, 15/12 minus 4/12 is 11/12. So this simplifies to a to the 11/12 power. Well, here I have an expression with x and y. X to the negative 2 times y to the negative 3/2 is divided by x to the negative 2/3, y to the 1/2, and then all of that is raised to the negative 2 power. Well, I could simplify in parentheses first, but that means adding and subtracting fractions. But if I take this outer exponent, negative 2, and distribute it inside, some of those fractions are going to go away. So I'm going to take everything inside to the negative 2 power. So that's x to the negative 2 and x to the negative 2/3. And then the y to the negative 3/2 and the y to the 1/2. So when I raise a power to a power, I multiply the exponents, and so I'm going to have x to the negative 2 times negative 2 gives me a positive 4. And y to the negative 3/2 times negative 2, well, negative 3/2 times negative 2 is positive 3. So now I have y to the positive 3. On the bottom, negative 2/3 times negative 2 gives me positive 4/3. So I have x to the positive 4/3, and y to the 1/2 times negative 2 is just y to the negative 1. Well, this looks easier to simplify. When I divide the x's here, I'm going to have x to the 4 minus 4/3 power. And when I divide the y's, I'm going to have y to the 3 minus negative 1 power. 4 minus 4/3 is the same as 4 over 1 times 3 over 3 minus 4/3, and that's 12 over 3 minus 4/3, which gives me 8/3. So x is to the 8/3 power, and 3 minus negative 1 is the same as 3 plus 1. It's 4. So the final result is x to the 8/3 power, y to the 4th power.